Hey, what up, everybody? It's your boy Crazy B with another reaction video. So, I've been digesting the news that the Obi-Wan Kenobi series is gonna be a limited series. It's been announced it's only for one season, which is really tragic. But there is always a silver lining, and I would say anyone who is disappointed that it's only one season, I would remind you that a lot of things, normally how TV works is one season comes out, but if the season really does well, they might reapproach it. So for now, it's limited, but I'm gonna take the silver lining in that if it really overperforms, Disney might say, hey, let's continue with this for another season or two, especially if it wants all kinds of awards and stuff. They're not going to let go of a cash cow, and I guess it would only depend on can they have enough money on the table to keep Ewan McGregor signed to a contract, because that's a big thing. I don't want no one else. I think the world can agree Ewan McGregor is Obi-Wan Kenobi. As a matter of fact, Obi-Wan Kenobi is Ewan McGregor. Okay, Obi-Wan Kenobi is Ewan McGregor. Not Ewan McGregor is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi. But no, I think, well, first of all, let's look at the pros and cons. We can start with the cons. One is the story of Obi-Wan Kenobi on Tatooine is really, he's supposed to be in exile, so there's not a lot of excitement that is supposed to happen. His job is to hide there and protect Luke. So that limits what you can really do. You really can't have the Empire get involved in Obi-Wan Kenobi, because if you have Obi-Wan Kenobi attract the attention of Darth Vader's going to find out, oh, I have a son. He's going to kidnap Luke, he's going to turn to the dark side, and it doesn't mesh up with the timeline. So, it can't be nothing big where Obi-Wan Kenobi is attracting the Empire. It can't. I'm sorry, like, it just can't be that exciting. Can he meddle in some affairs on Tatooine? Why not? Sure. But again, his whole thing is to be in exile. It's to not be noticed, to not be seen. It's just to be there to protect Luke and study the Force powers to live as a Force ghost. That's it. He's not there to do anything else. So being that does make it difficult to come up with good content that could run for a few seasons, because he can't get involved in big things. He can't attract attention. He can't go out there with his lightsaber. He has to be incognito. He has to hide in plain sight. So off the bat, it's really kind of hard to see this extending 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons, because you're just limited in the content you can have. 2, he doesn't really raise Luke. He's not really involved in Luke's life from up close. He's involved from a distance. So it's not like you're going to see Obi-Wan Kenobi teach Luke the ways of the Force when Luke is a child. He doesn't learn shit until he meets Kenobi, until he meets Ben Kenobi. He might know of Ben Kenobi, but he's not really going to learn anything. So we don't have seasons of Luke learning to be a Jedi. It doesn't work that way. So again, the Kenobi series was always going to be limited in what content it could produce. I know, if I had my choice, I'd sign McGregor to a lifetime contract and say, you're going to play Obi-Wan Kenobi until you look like Alec Guinness in A New Hope. But sadly, that's just not the case. And it really, outside of maybe 2 or 3 seasons, I don't know how much stuff you can produce to keep the series interesting without starting to affect the wider world. Again, he's supposed to be in exile, just looking over Luke and learning to be a Force ghost. So I think a limited series is actually for the betterment of this. I know, I'm disappointed that it's limited, but I think it's actually for the best, because it could be what they call a character study. You've seen the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix? That's what they call a character study. It does a deep dive into our character's mind, his feelings, everything, his development. It solely focuses on that character and all the things that contribute to his development, to what he becomes at the end. And I think that would be the best thing. Obi-Wan Kenobi's character development from young Jedi Knight to hermit old crab. And he doesn't need to take a lifetime to get there. He can just take a course of one season. Obi-Wan Kenobi, if you really pay attention to the character, he puts his duty first. He is the perfect Jedi. And I guess you could also say the worst. But he always puts his duty to the Jedi Order first and foremost. And we learned about that. Okay? Oh, the only exception is when he said to Qui-Gon, I'm going to train Anakin regardless. That's the only exception I can think of. Okay? But through the Clone Wars, yeah, he could have rescued his young Boo Satine. You know, that was one of my favorite arcs when we meet Duchess Satine of Mandalore, and she had a romance with Obi-Wan Kenobi. But he chose the Order over the love of his life. Okay? He always chose his duty as a Jedi. And if you really follow the character, it's always his greater duty as a Jedi. He never brings emotions into it. You know? And maybe that's to his detriment. But that's what a character study is for. You know? I want to see Obi-Wan examine his choices in life. Should I have been with Satine? Should I never have trained Anakin? Should I have left the Order? You know, this man, if we leave him at the end of Revenge of the Sith, he just cut down his best friend. And the man who's like his brother. All his other friends and the only people he ever knew in life is the Jedi Order. And they're all dead except for Master Yoda, at least as far as he knows. So, I do want to see how that affects his mind, his psyche. And now all of a sudden, his job is to protect Luke Skywalker from his own father. And raise him to kill his father. You know, if you ever read into the stuff about what George Lucas originally wanted to do, I believe Return of the Jedi has a scene where Obi-Wan is trying to convince Luke to kill his father, but I think George Lucas scrapped it for the final cut. You know, more focused on Vader's redemption than his killing. But I believe that was one of the original things he wanted in the movie, was Obi-Wan to advocate for killing Darth Vader, not saving him. But he changed it in the final cut, so we got what we got, and he really doesn't advocate for it. But you know, those are some of the things that I think we can incorporate into the series, and how he comes to grips with everything that just happened in his life. Everyone he knew is dead. His best friend is gone. He has to watch over his best friend's child. You know, he has to stay vigilant for 19 years to make sure one of the few hopes in the galaxy don't die. Those are not easy things, and I think what they're gonna do with the Kenobi series is what they call a character study. We're really gonna be alone with Obi-Wan and his thoughts as he struggles to find a balance in himself. You know, the Force is about balance, right? We're gonna see Obi-Wan struggle with the dark side. His hate, his anger, his fear. We're gonna see it, and I want to see it. I mean, Obi-Wan is a complex human being. He has emotions. It's not easy to cut down your best friend, and it's not easy to raise his kid. to watch over his kid, as you know what happened to his father. You know, so I would say cheer up. Again, I know the Kenobi series being limited to one season is horrible, but one, you don't want the series to be going on and on and on to where it just feels repetitive. You ever see some series that just they go 6, 7, 8, 9? Like, for example, The Simpsons. I don't watch it anymore because it just feels so repetitive. The jokes are stale, the stories are stale, and I just, what joke have they not made at this point? Sometimes the best thing to do is to know when you completely tell the story you want to tell and end it and move on and have people have a greater appreciation for it. And I think that's what they're going to do here. But I think also there is the silver lining that if this thing overperforms, Disney's going to say to Lucasfilm, you have a blank check. Ewan, tell us how much you want for another 2-3 seasons. It's happened. I believe The Mandalorian was only supposed to be 2 seasons. They greenlit a 3rd season because it overperformed. You know? So sometimes a show can overperform and they reevaluate its value and they say, you know what? We can do another season because people want it, and sometimes you gotta give the people what they want. So buck up. It's not the end of the world that Kenobi's one season. I think if we really put our passion behind it, and if they really do a good job, see, that's another thing. I don't want it going on for more seasons if the first season is a dud. If it doesn't entertain me, I wouldn't want it to continue. At that point, you're probably just diluting the character and diluting everything we've come to love about Obi-Wan Kenobi. So it might be better just to keep it one season. I think in general, Lucasfilm is going to be very timid considering the blunders with the sequel trilogy. They're not going to dive head first. I think they're dipping their toe with Kenobi, and maybe we can try to get them to put in a whole foot. After that, put the other foot. You know what I'm saying? One thing at a time. So there's still no confirmed release date for Kenobi, but let's hope it's soon, maybe at the end of 2021 or beginning of 2022. And it's a good series. It wins all kinds of awards and accolades, and they say let's greenlight a season 2, especially if Ewan McGregor is on board to keep playing the character. That's another thing, is the actors sometimes are the biggest challenge to it. Ewan McGregor is a phenomenal actor. But the thing is, for any actor, they don't want to be typecast. They don't want to be one defined role. So if you're Ewan McGregor, you're probably like, I don't want to be the guy who's just Obi-Wan. That's a fair thing to say. I don't think he's that because I've seen so many of his movies. He's had plenty of good movies, some bad, but you know. But that's definitely a fear that, you know, if he feels like most of his popularity is because he's Obi-Wan, then he's not really going to be inclined to just be Obi-Wan. Until he has no career prospects left. But he's very talented, and he's definitely still signing big movie deals, and he's going to be making bigger movies, hopefully. And yeah, so, you know, that's another thing. You got to consider what Ewan McGregor wants. He just probably does not want just Obi-Wan to be his defining character. You know, if you ever watched the old Top Gear, Ewan McGregor had an interview on it with Jeremy Clarkson, and he says, like, I hold the original trilogy in such high esteem, and the movies I was in, I just kind of see them as movies I was in. And he said that at the time his stance could definitely, but that's telling. He saw Star Wars around the time he was I think it was finishing up Revenge of the Sith. It's just movies I'm in. He didn't really hold the prequels in high regard compared to the original trilogy. Again, stances could change, but if he didn't feel at the time like, yeah, Obi-Wan's like one of my biggest career achievements, and I love Obi-Wan, and I want to be Obi-Wan as much as I can, he's he's not gonna want to be Obi-Wan for a long time. This might be for him, unfortunately, a cash grab and move on. So it's another thing you gotta consider, and it is unfortunate, but it is part of the business, you know. So don't fret. Let's hope season 1 of Kenobi is good. It's too good, and it makes too much money, and everyone has a blank check, and Ewan McGregor says, hey, yeah, I can make a lot of money playing Obi-Wan for another 1 or 2 seasons, and we can really dive deep into what Obi-Wan goes through immediately after Revenge of the Sith, and how he struggles to reconcile the things that happened in his life. Anyways, as always, I'm Crazy B, your boy, and I'm out.